Want to know how João turns stress into an opportunity for growth? Read on to see how Zen wisdom can change your life. João woke up with a start, his phone buzzing insistently on the nightstand. He was already late. Through the window, the traffic of Lisbon was intruding into his foggy thoughts, a cacophony that reverberated in his mind like a constant drum. Sitting on the edge of his bed, he tried to push the heaviness from his chest, but every morning seemed the same. The hands of the clock kept racing, and so did he. Working at a tech startup meant he was always on the move, yet João felt like he could never truly achieve peace. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more inspiring stories like João's. Life in the city wasn't what he imagined. Despite the promise of freedom and success, every day he found himself more chained to deadlines, meetings, expectations. With every unread email, every ignored phone call, his anxiety grew and his mind wandered into a labyrinth with no exit. But that day seemed worse than usual. During an important meeting with the CEO, João couldn't hold back a panic attack. His heart was pounding in his chest, his hands were shaking, his breathing was short. He felt trapped, unable to think, unable to escape. After the meeting, he locked himself in his office. He tried to calm down, but nothing seemed to work. Anxiety had completely taken over him. Have you ever felt a similar situation? Tell us about your experience in the comments. He then decided to go out. The streets of Alfama were a refuge, their ancient silence contrasting with the modern chaos that reigned just beyond. Walking through the narrow streets gave him temporary relief, but João knew that soon he would have to return to reality, to work, to the incessant demands. The day was becoming unbearable, and in a moment of desperation, he decided to do something unexpected. At the end of one of the streets, he noticed a small building he had never seen before, a Zen temple, hidden among the houses. He pushed open the door hesitantly. The interior was simple, but welcoming. No pomp, just the delicate smell of incense and a soft light that seemed to envelop him. An old man was sitting on a cushion, meditating. João stopped in the doorway, unsure whether to disturb, but something was pushing him to come in. The man looked up, a serene smile appearing on his face. "Are you looking for something, young man?" he asked in a gentle voice, almost as if he already knew the answer. João nodded, feeling his throat tighten with emotion. "I can't bear this weight anymore. The stress, the work, it all seems too much. I just want to get rid of this anxiety." The teacher, Francisco, invited him to sit down. He didn't immediately offer words of wisdom. He didn't offer quick fixes. Instead, he let João talk, let him get out everything that was tormenting him. The young manager found himself confessing his fears, the feeling of never being good enough, of always being one step behind others. Do you ever feel this way? Leave a comment and share your journey of personal growth. "You see stress as your enemy," Francisco finally said, "but it's not. Stress isn't here to destroy you, it's here to teach you." João looked at him, confused. "Teach me? But that's what's ruining my life. I can't sleep. I can't concentrate. How can you teach me anything?" The master was silent for a moment, then spoke calmly. "Anxiety comes from your desire to control everything. You want everything to follow a plan, for every aspect of your life to fit together perfectly. But the world isn't like that. Life is fluid, unpredictable, and your stress comes from your refusal to accept that truth. Zen teaches you to observe change, to welcome what comes without trying to change it or fight it." João let the words sink in, but his instincts still resisted. "But I can't just stop working, stop worrying. The work, the deadlines, are real." Francisco smiled. "No one is asking you to stop. I am asking you to change your perspective. Stress is like the wind. You can resist it, fight against it, or you can learn to fly with it." Meditation is not about eliminating stress, but about learning to let it flow through you, like water sliding over stones in a river. Have you ever thought of stress as an ally? Learn to manage it better through meditation. For the first time in a long time, João felt that maybe there was an alternative. Francisco invited him to meditate together. They sat in silence, and as João tried to focus on his breathing, his mind wandered, trying to grasp that sense of peace that seemed so elusive. At first, it wasn't easy. His mind always returned to work problems, to worries about the future, but Francisco gently guided him, teaching him not to fight those thoughts, but to observe them, like clouds passing by in the sky. As the days passed, João returned to the temple again and again. He continued to work, dealing with deadlines and pressures, but something in him was changing. He learned to carve out moments of silence even in the most chaotic of days, to stop and breathe, even if only for a few minutes. It wasn't an instant solution, but a slow, gradual transformation. The panic attacks became less frequent, and when they did come, João no longer saw them as a defeat, but as an opportunity to practice what he was learning. One day, on his way back to the temple, he ran into a colleague, Pedro, who was also suffering from work-related stress. Pedro had always been one of the most competitive in the company, but lately he seemed on the verge of a burnout. João decided to invite him to a meditation session with Francisco. Pedro laughed at first, making fun of his strange approach, but eventually accepted, more out of curiosity than conviction. Don't miss the opportunity to share this journey with someone who needs it. Share this video and invite a friend to discover the benefits of meditation. After that first experience, Pedro returned again and again. João noticed how he too was slowly changing, learning to manage his emotions. The two found themselves discussing the benefits of the Zen temple more and more often, discovering that what at first seemed like a solitary path was actually becoming a shared journey. The real revelation for João came a few months later, during a situation of extreme tension. The company he worked for was going through a difficult period, and the possibility of layoffs was on the horizon. While many of his colleagues were panicking, João was surprisingly calm. He wasn't immune to worry, but he felt he had the tools to deal with whatever came his way. When push came to shove, he didn't lose control. He managed to handle the challenges with a calmness that even amazed his boss. João hadn't become a Zen master, but he had learned to live with greater awareness. Remember, stress is not the enemy, but a guide that shows you how to grow and adapt. Subscribe to our channel for more personal growth stories.